To find the margin of error, you need to use the formula E equals Z sub alpha over 2 times the population standard deviation sigma over the square root of n. So to find the margin of error, if we're given n equals 32, sigma equals 7, and we are going to be 99% confident, what would be the margin of error? Well, we know what n is, which is 32. We know sigma, which is 7. But we have 99% confidence. So we need to find our alpha over 2 value for this to find our critical value z. So 1 minus 0.99 over 2, and that's going to end up giving us 0.005, which is going to be our alpha over 2 value. So z of 0.005 is what we need to find for the critical value. So to do that, we can use our table or we can use our calculator, and I'm going to use a calculator for this. And I'm going to go to second and vars, and since this is a z value, I'm going to do inverse norm with the area being 0.005. And then hit enter. And I'm going to get a negative number, but we ignore the negative. We always want it to be positive, so 2.58 is our critical value. Once we have that, we have everything we need and we can find our margin of error. So our margin of error is going to be 2.58 times sigma, which is 7, over the square root of n, which is 32. And we're just going to run this through the calculator so we can get the margin of error. So when we do that, we're going to end up having 2.58 times 7 divided by the square root of 32. And then we're just going to hit enter. And we'll get a long decimal number, but I'm going to round to, I guess, 4 decimals would be good. So 3.1926. 3.1926. And this would be our margin of error for the information given here. Now let's look at this. We want to be 95% confident with a sample size of 40 and a population standard deviation of 26. So again, we have our n value being 40, our population standard deviation being 26, and now we got to find our alpha over 2 values. So alpha over 2 is going to be 1 minus 0.95 over 2, which is going to end up giving us 0.025. So we need to find our critical value, z of 0.025. And I'm going to use the calculator again to do this work for me. So second vars, number 3 inverse norm, 0.025 for the area, and hit enter. And I will get to 2 decimal places, a positive, ignore the negative, 1.96. And now that I have everything I need, I'm just going to put it into my margin of error formula. So the margin of error is going to be equal to 1.96 times standard deviation, sigma 26, over the square root of 40. And make sure it's not confusing which one's which. So now I'm going to use my calculator to do the arithmetic for me. So 1.96 times 26 divided by the square root of 40. And hit enter. And I'm going to get 8.0575. I'm going to go to 5 decimal places, so 0575. 0575. So that would be my margin error for this information here. So whenever you're dealing with margin of error for a mean and you know what sigma is, this is the formula you would use and this is how you would go about it.